More than 1 billion people call South Asia home today. It's just this incredible tapestry of diversity. But have you ever wondered how that tapestry was actually woven? Well, using the amazing tools of ancient DNA, we're going to pull back the curtain of time and reconstruct the epic story of migrations and mixtures that forged the people of the subcontinent. Okay, let's get right into it. So, this is the big one. This is the central question that has fascinated scientists for decades. The genetic landscape of India is totally unique, with these patterns that just scream of a complex and ancient history. Our explainer today is going to piece together the answer, one ancient population at a time, all based on some pretty groundbreaking genomic research. And right at the heart of this whole puzzle is something called the Indian cline. So try to picture a smooth genetic gradient. As you travel from the northwest of the subcontinent down to the southeast, the amount of two key ancestral components just changes steadily. For years, the big mystery was, who were these ancestral populations and how in the world did this cline even happen? To solve it, we have to go way, way back. We're going to start by meeting the two foundational groups who really form the deepest layer of South Asian ancestry, long before any of the great civilizations we know about even existed. So, on one side, you have the ancient ancestral South Indians, or AASI for short. These were the indigenous hunter-gatherers of the subcontinent, and what's wild is that their closest living relatives today are the isolated Anj people of the Andaman Islands. Then, on the other side, you've got these agriculturalists from the West, related to early farmers from Iran. Sometime after 7000 BCE, they start moving into the region, and they bring a totally new way of life with them. Now, this is where the first great mixing happens. It's fascinating. For thousands of years, these two groups, the hunter-gatherers and the farmers, met and mingled. And the genetic data gives us a really specific window for this, somewhere between 4700 and 3000 BCE. The result? A brand new, totally distinct population that was a blend of both. Scientists call this group the Indus Periphery, and they would become the main genetic ingredient of the great Indus Valley civilization. Okay, so now our story takes a sharp turn, and we're jumping thousands of kilometers to the north, onto the huge grasslands of the Eurasian steppe. There's a completely different group of people on the move here, and their journey south is about to change the course of South Asian history forever. This timeline basically traces their epic journey. It kicks off with the Yamnaya on the western steppe. As their descendants pushed eastward, they started mixing with the European farmers, creating these new, really dynamic cultures. You've got the Sintashta, they're famous for their early chariots, and then the massive Andronovo cultural horizon. Now, we call these groups together the Middle to Late Bronze Age steppe pastoralists, or steppe MLBA, and after 2100 BCE, they turned south. And genetically, they were unique. See, they weren't pure Yamnaya anymore. Their DNA was a blend of those earlier steppe folks and the European farmers they'd met along the way. And they carried this incredibly powerful genetic marker, the Y chromosome haplogroup R1A. It was found in over 2/3 of the males, but crucially, it was a specific subtype, R1AZ93, that acts like a genetic tracer dye. It lets us follow their path right into modern-day Central and South Asia, where it's still super common. All right, the stage is set. We have the Indus Periphery people down in the south, and we have the steppe pastoralists moving down from the north. When they finally meet, it's the pivotal moment in our entire story. But, and this is the best part, it does not happen the way anyone expected. So as the steppe groups moved south, they came to a region we now call Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan. And here, a really sophisticated urban civilization was thriving, known as the BMAC. For a long, long time, everyone just assumed this is where the big interaction happened. But did it? The ancient DNA delivered a completely shocking answer. No. The main population of those huge BMAC cities was pretty much bypassed entirely. And this just perfectly illustrates the power of genetics to completely rewrite history. This quote from the primary research paper couldn't be clearer. The BMAC civilization, as cool and influential as it was culturally, was basically a genetic dead end for South Asia. The steppe migrants moved through their territory, but they didn't really mix with them in any big way. So if not the BMAC, then who did they mix with? Well, the real story, the one that matters, happened with the descendants of that first great mixture we talked about earlier, the Indus Periphery population. The steppe pastoralists connected with these people who were living along the northern edge of the Indus Valley civilization's influence. And this is what you get. This is the result. When the incoming steppe pastoralists and the established Indus periphery people mixed, they created a new ancestral population. We call them the Ancestral North Indians, or ANI. This group is the second major pillar of modern Indian ancestry. But they weren't the only pillar. Further south, a different kind of mixture was taking place. The same Indus periphery people also mixed more with those indigenous AASI hunter-gatherers who, had a lot less contact with the migrants from the north. This created the other foundational group, the Ancestral South Indians, or ASI. This is just incredible. We can still see the genetic ghosts of these two ancient ancestral populations today. There are isolated groups like the Kalash of Pakistan, who are almost pure descendants of the original ANI. And then you have tribal groups in southern India like the Paliyar, who are nearly direct descendants of the original ASI. It's like they're living snapshots of India's Bronze Age genetic landscape. Okay, so we have our two new groups, ANI and ASI. The final and probably most important step in this whole story is how these two populations then interacted over the next few thousand years to create the India we see today. And there it is. That's the answer to our question from the very beginning. That smooth genetic gradient, the Indian cline, it was formed by the widespread mixing of the ANI from the north and the ASI from the south. Almost everyone in India today is a mix of these two groups, just in different amounts. But the story has one more fascinating twist. The mixing wasn't perfectly uniform. This chart here shows that even today, certain groups in North India, especially Brahmin and Bhumihar groups, have a statistically higher amount of that steppe ancestry than their neighbors. It's like a preserved echo of that initial formation of the ANI population. So, why does all this matter? Well, this isn't just about genetics. It connects directly to culture and to history. This steppe migration almost certainly brought Indo-European languages to the subcontinent. And the fact that Brahmin groups, who were the traditional keepers of early Sanskrit texts, carry more of this ancestry, well, that's a powerful link between genes, culture, and language. It also shows us how strict marriage rules, or endogamy, have acted like a time capsule, preserving these ancient genetic patterns for millennia. So, from indigenous hunter-gatherers and Iranian farmers all the way to horse riders from the steppe, this epic Bronze Age journey laid the genetic foundation for 1/6 of humanity. It's such a powerful reminder that deep history isn't just in books, it's written in ourselves. This ancient journey shaped over 1 billion people. Makes you wonder, what story does your DNA tell?